Okay, walk me through it.
Okay, so most times people don't really know what the colors stand for. I did myself, and so I looked them up. The colors that are exhibited for Black History Month, and we have the red represents the pain and blood that was shed through people struggling for liberation. We have the black represents the dark-skinned people of sub-Saharan from the African diaspora.
Diaspora.
Yeah. And then we have the green, which represents the fertile lands of the continental Africa. Then I read that yellow was added later, and it represents the immense richness to be found in many countries across continental Africa. And then the origin of Black History Month, it was the National Black History Month has its origins in 1915 when historian and author Dr. Carter G. Woodson founded the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History. And so then we just see that it's Black History Month. And then we highlight some of our great leaders, Thurgood Marshall, Jesse Owens, of course our first Black president, Barack Obama, some of our well-known, I forgot about Oprah, but Harriet Tubman, who was an abolitionist and ran the Underground Railroad. She said, I was the conductor of the Underground Railroad for 8 years. I never ran my train off the track and I never lost a passenger. And then our Rosa Parks, who refused to give up her seat in, I think it's Alabama, was it, when they, blacks couldn't sit at the front of the bus. Langston Hughes, the artist, Fannie Mae Lou Hamer, civil rights activist, Marian Anderson, known for her great voice, and Shirley Chisholm, first African American woman elected to U.S. Congress. There we have our first Black Vice President, female Black Vice President. Good morning.
Looks really nice, Miss Conchita.
Thank you. And then we have Rosa Parks again. All right, but then, so we actually wanted to start from the beginning and say the earliest fighters for freedom.
Yes.
And this is just talking about the slaves that was drugged from their land over to the Americas to become slaves. And this is the ship, how they was packed in. Several of them jumped overboard because they rather die than to come and be a slave. And then this is a family being sold on the auction block. So this is basically just like how it began. And then we had the Underground Railroad, Civil War. When the first let's say, Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, 13th Amendment was ratified, NAACP was founded, and here is just, if anybody wanted to know dates when things happen, this is important dates in the fight for African American rights. So it goes from here.
Okay.
And then we had to make a switch over in the here.
Okay.
And then this is my dedication to Martin Luther King. And these was all the marches he led. He was shaking the then president, Lyndon B. Johnson's hand as he was signing the Civil Rights Act, and shaking Malcolm X's hand when they discussed the Civil Rights Bill. And here's a portion of his I Have a Dream speech. The I Have a Dream speech is 6 pages long. I had to condense it to saying basically what his dreams, it summed up his dream. And then unfortunately, this was the night he was on the balcony in which he was shot to death. This is his casket. Coretta Scott King, and then he was in Memphis at his murder, when he was fighting for the rights of trash men, and here's a trash man kneeling at his grave site and saying, "I am a man. It's a shame that you have to prove what you are to people." And then we had the Black Power, Black Panther movement at some point. Stokely Carmichael and Bobby Seale with the Black Panthers. This when they legalized segregation. This was the Montgomery bus boycott. And then they marched on Washington protesting civil rights. And then we just like move over here and see some of our well-known actors. Now that was Medgar Evers. My daughter actually insisted that I put him up because he was just a secretary and they assassinated him in the driveway of his own home.
Wow.
And this was when Rosa Parks was being fingerprinted and arrested as a criminal for not giving up her seat on a white passenger bus in Montgomery, Alabama, which really ignited Martin Luther King to start his crusade to fight for the rights of black people. So then we have some well-known American activists, athletes, writers, musicians, and actors. And that is the end. Oh, and as I was walking down my steps, I believe the Lord put this in my mind. A picture of Keisha Hudson, our chief defender, who fights for rights for us to get acceptable wages. And I thought that LaRue Worthy worked on this, helping me find a picture, and I thought this one was perfect because she quoted, she did a quote from Frederick Douglass, which fits right in with, you know, the history of our ancestors.
Amazing.
Now edit that.